Session question. After playing Marvel Rivals, how does it feel to play so far? And would you ever go back and play Overwatch? Okay, let me rant incoming, I guess, if anything. Let me kind of make the comparison as so, because I feel like it's actually important. Right now, Marvel Rivals is in a very huge advantage for several reasons. And right now is a much better game than Overwatch 2 currently. Now, it's hard to make the comparison to what it was like back then with Overwatch and how it is now, just because like I have a much more firm identity about what a hero shooter is. Because when Overwatch 1 first came out, I didn't know what a hero shooter was. Like I just was like, oh, like I'm just here to play it looked like an arcade game, right? I'm an old man, so I was like, oh yeah, it looks like an arcade shooting game, so it's just designed to be fun. And the cool thing about it, at least, that it was fun. So I had no problems like playing Overwatch 1 because to me the impression was like you got these cool characters, they all have different powers and abilities, and like you can play whatever you want. Like who cares? Boom. So, I would easily switch around between characters I enjoyed playing, and at the end of the day, I was casual and it was fun. And then they introduced like the whole ranking system, and again, I was like, okay, cool, like ranking exists, like fine, whatever. I don't think I care too much because I think they're not gonna really gravitate the ranked mode to be like the centerpiece of the entire game. At least that's what I thought. Which later on, obviously, as you can tell with how it currently functions, that's their core functionality. So right now Marvel, at least as far as I'm aware playing it, and again the game is new, so it's hard to actually like digress like everything into place, but the game is fun. And as much as there is a competitive scene and like a whole ranking mode thing, it doesn't feel like the centerpiece of the game is ranked. It feels like the centerpiece is to just make the characters be true to functionality and have the game modes be fun. uh because like the difference between, I feel like, with Overwatch versus this game is that Overwatch is, it was like Blizzard's next big game, whatever, and like you don't, it's a new game, so you don't, there's no like relevancy to character or anything, like you don't know anything about the game once the game came out. With Marvel though, there's a lot of characters that are already here, from like the Avengers to like the Punisher and all these other random series that we've had over the course of the comic book years of Marvel. And it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, like I know that character from this thing, and then you can just play that character. Like I'm sure there's a bunch of like young kids that are playing this game just because Spider-Man's in the game. They're like, yo, I want to play some Spider-Man. That's it. Or Captain America or Thor or Hulk or any of those Avengers that we have, right? um there are characters that were like, oh, there was a TV show called Cloak and Dagger. Well, there's Cloak and Dagger in the game. Guess what? I'm playing Cloak and Dagger. Boom. There's all these various reasons why people play Marvel besides the whole idea of it being like a versus game, which again I think is a really great reason to have interest in the game in the first place, right? Your goal is to just play what would be like your favorite characters just because you've known them for historical reasons. Overwatch didn't have a history until it was actually released as a game, which again is going to hold a variety of weight in it in comparison. Anyways, once Overwatch started, I think it started shifting its fun factor away from being fun and thinking that fun and competitive are one in the same place, which they're not, right? Like, yeah, you can be competitive for sure because like it's a versus game, but the fact that you need to be competitively good at the game to have fun, I think, is where it starts to run into that identity issue of why it was made in the first place. I think that the game was originally meant to be fun, but because there was like a whole league thing, competitive league MLG thing, people were all like creating this impression that in order to play Overwatch, you had to be good. And I think that was one of the first factors that kind of made me think like, oh, like I don't know if I like this anymore because, you know, I just want to be good at the video game, enough to the point that I can have fun, but not to the point that I need to be like the number one player in the entire world. Because I think everyone has that mentality right now. You have to be the best player you can possibly be to play Overwatch. And I'm not saying that for everybody. Like my opinion is what I think about the game. I don't think that everybody necessarily feels that way, obviously, but I don't know anybody who's playing Overwatch and having fun without getting frustrated at like the competitive aspect of it, even in quick play. Cause like in Marvel, if I play quick play, I just play a character, we go to the objective, we play the game, and like that's literally it. No one says anything to anybody. And a lot of players that were playing Overwatch are playing Marvel. So they're bringing the same mentality and playstyle into this game, but the game is different. But you also again have a lot of people that have never touched Overwatch, um, and they're playing Marvel just because it's Marvel, right? Then you also have the players who's like trying to play a hero shooter on a super high competitive level, and like they're just here to play competitively, but they keep the competitive thing in competitive. Like yeah, sure, I'll encounter a high level ranked player in quick play, but it's super easy to know when I'm doing that in Overwatch, but I don't have a clue in Marvel. And I don't even like check ranks to know for sure either, which you can check in both games. Like I don't even know, right? So, and that's kind of nice actually, because I don't have to even worry about like, oh, I'm playing the number one Venom in the world, or I'm playing the number one Moon Knight. It's like, oh, that guy's playing Moon Knight. Okay, cool, like whatever, right? So I think that's one of the first things. This game prioritizes fun over competition, and Overwatch prioritizes competition over fun. And I think that's what's gonna really like deter the difference of the games, at least in that one aspect. Additionally, because of a lot of the changes in history that the Overwatch team has made with the game overall, a lot of things were really like heavily emphasized and like made as like a promise to experience that we would get. And they kind of gave it to us very minimally in the first game. And then they made like a huge promise of it in the second game. And then they just took it all away, right? So I think that puts Overwatch already at like a huge disadvantage because we got that one game mode where it was like a PvE system thing where I played as a, you can play between like Tracer, Torb, Reinhardt, and they all had, or Mercy, and they all had their own skins. It's like a 4 versus PvE system thing. That was a lot of fun. It wasn't the core functionality of the game, but people really loved the feedback on that. That they were like, okay, cool, we'll try and make more. And so they made like different ones, but not, they were there. Um, and then eventually their goal was to just create a sequel and have it heavily add a lot of emphasis on the whole PvE thing, right? But again, I think that if there is like a corporate greed thing involved, then it ended up having them focus even more on the competition thing and balancing to perfect the whole like competitive gameplay thing and take away the fun factor, which is why I feel like many players will agree that the fun factor of the game was there when it was there, and then they took it out once they focused way too heavily on this whole like competitive aspect of Overwatch. Like Marvel Rivals is also a competitive game because it's obviously like a versus hero shooter, but I don't think that that's like their core focus. I think that like yeah, like Marvel Rivals has a ranked mode if you want to play it. So if you want to be good, then like go ahead and be good, but it's not required to play in the game. And I think even the player base understands and acknowledges that because if I'm playing quick play, and again, like bronze 3, I've never tapped into ranked in this game at all. And it could be too early as well. But I played uh only quick play in this, or quick match, and there's never been a moment where somebody told me to get off a character because I wasn't playing the character well or anything like that. Like people just don't care in the quick match mode for this, which is fine. But in Overwatch, and I even experienced this during Overwatch 1, where people would get frustrated at you if you played any character that wasn't like high tier, right? Like you couldn't play whoever you wanted. It just kind of was like scoffed at, right? So it's like, oh, like you want to play Widowmaker? Like you don't know how to play Widowmaker. Play somebody else. Like play like play a good character like Hanzo. And it's like, well, no, like I want to play Widow, and they're like, if you play Widow, then I'm gonna report you. And it's like that's so childish and stupid because like we're playing quick play. It's not like it's a ranked mode thing. In a ranked mode thing, you play whatever character that you play your best at, which ideally would be the case scenario. But and then Marvel, like your rank is indicative of your entire account. It's not indicative of what role you play. So you don't get ranked separately from playing support versus DPS versus tank. You only get ranked for playing just in general, which I think is cool. Um, because it kind of showcases further emphasis that you're not like focused solely on being good at only like one like role thing. Now, I think if I remember exactly though, they added that later. So could Marvel Rivals activate that later on? Like sure. But if what they're doing right now is like anybody can play any character and the composition does not matter, it tells me that they're not really focusing as much on the whole like competitive aspect, which again like I'm down for. Um so I think again Marvel is in a really great position where they have so much lined up for the future, and they've already started kind of giving us like a hint here and there of like what to expect. And I think if if there's one thing that they can add that will completely dramatically alter the visual perspective people have on this game, is if they make a PvE mode. Like, yeah, I get it. There's only PvP in this game, but also in Overwatch 2, technically speaking. But the problem with Overwatch versus this game is that Overwatch promised a PvE mode, and we just didn't get it. Right, that was one of the real reasons why I was like, oh cool. Like, I don't care if Overwatch was like a $60 or $70 game, because my plan was to like dabble in quick play whenever I wanted to, but I really wanted to check out that PvE system because it was so appealing. Right, like, you can play a character, that character can acquire ability modifications to like the buttons it already has. So like, either I can get like a smaller shield and play when I'm playing Reinhardt, but it's bulkier, or I can get a wider shield, but it's weaker. Like, at least you can have ability modifications uh, in mind. But they just took all that out, which again was really like, it just felt like a slap in the face, right? Um, Now I get like plans change, but the thing is, like, because in the trailer they advertised such a huge core thing in a video game that was missing, and then to add like a promise to add it, and then they just don't add it, was kind of like, oh well, then, like, me playing the game now doesn't really feel like it's necessary. I think it's actually like one of the core reasons why I literally stopped playing Overwatch, is because there was no PvE game mode. And they tried to like replace it with something else, and again, it was really executed poorly, so it was tough to assume that we were going to get something as good as what we saw. But Marvel hasn't like announced anything like that yet, and so when they do, it's I have such a high expectation that if they're like, yeah, we're going to introduce like a new PvE mode, they're going to just deliver on it. And I think not only will they deliver on it, they're going to be very mindful about what they could possibly do and actually change a lot with the game. And again, they have a huge advantage because the story for all these characters have been laid out for decades, right? You can easily create like any kind of scenario that uses all the Avengers, or like only spider characters, or only characters that are like the color green. Like, you have any option to choose from, and it's really, really nice. So if they make a PvE mode, I think that's going to be one of the hardest selling points that this game could possibly have, strictly because, as much as there is a competitive scene in this game, there's also a very high amount of casual players, myself included. And um, what I've learned, especially from playing other game modes that are other games in general that have versus game modes, or just have like a high player base, is that you're going to encounter a lot of players who are just super casual about how they play games. They don't play with this huge emphasis of competition in mind. Whether it's an MMO or like a fighting game or like a shooter, there's just a lot of casual people, right? Because people want to play the game for fun. They don't really plan to become like an MLG pro when they play the various games that exist. And I think that Overwatch thought that people would do that, and were of course mistaken when you found out that, like, now the problem, I think that you can make a lot of these changes and make fixes, but it's going to really be difficult to do that knowing that we have a game like Marvel Rivals, because right now it's really easy to assume that any change that they make is just going to be a copy off of whatever Marvel was doing, and make it seem like, oh well, like Marvel like did it first because like they're smarter, whatever. But that's why, like, the whole 6v6 min 1 max 3 thing, I tried that out, and it doesn't feel good, even though playing 6v6 is more fun because, again, more chaos, and like, you know I just like that there's more players to play with, and the possibility of it being insane is fun. I'm a big fan of that. The 5v5 thing was not fun because it was, again, specifically forcing this competitive like 1-2-2 comp where you needed one tank, two support, two DPS, and I liked playing tank in Overwatch 1, even though it wasn't like, it wasn't just one tank, it was two tanks. I could have been a solo tank, but then have like two supports and three DPS, and it still felt good. But when it was five per people and it was only the only tank, like, it was my job to push the team forward to like attack the objective or whatever. And because I'm casual, and my skill level is not like number one in the world, even though it was always expected, it just didn't feel good to go into there and actually like expect my play to be like incredible, right? Like, I just wanted to play tank because I just wanted to get into the game because it was the only role that was available, and that feels bad. So, um, Marvel, like you don't have that problem. And they also said it very clearly as well, because I keep up to the news with both games, is that they're like, yeah, we're never going to create like a role queue thing. Like the objective is to just get you into the game as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter what you play, just play the game. And I like that, because again, I think that they focus heavily on the fun aspect over the competitive. Like the competitive is secondary in nature. The aesthetic and the gameplay is what's their core focus, and keeping that focus fun, which I think they've been doing great so far. So hopefully they don't steer away from that, because like fingers crossed, if they did that, then we're gonna just have a repeat of what they did in Overwatch. But I think that because this game is what it is right now, that possibility is just not going to happen strictly because they took notes on what Overwatch did and didn't do, and they're like, okay, well, like we're not going to do this or that, but we could do this later, or they haven't thought about this, so let's do this, right? They have a wide net of things to choose from, and I can keep on going on. I mean, one other thing that I was really shocked by is the amount of reward you get for just playing the game. Overwatch One had that, right? You can get like those little loot boxes. The loot boxes were fun, and I didn't know what the loot box game was like because I didn't play games like Counter Strike or nothing. But after playing a game like Counter Strike and realizing that opening loot boxes is fun and like it's surprising, and you can get like possible rare skins, is honestly like incredible. And Overwatch had that, and I was really sad to see that they took that formula away, because um, again, you can potentially get a really good skin, and the only reason why you got that skin was because you got lucky. Oh, and then you played the video game, right? In the current setting, like you have to play and put your wallet into it, or you have to play competitive to get the cool stuff. And Overwatch like kind of destroyed a lot of their appeal for that reason alone, because I think casual players really care about getting cool skin looking stuff, but the thing is, like, you have to spend money to do it. Yes, the game is free, but so is Marvel Rivals, and they have ways that you can just play the game and get rewarded by just playing the game and get really cool skins and whatnot. And again, like, even and oh man, one thing that I'm very shocked by is the battle pass. That's probably like the biggest selling point to me, where I know that no matter what happens, I can always come back and play Marvel, and I'll never be worried about missing out, because the FOMO thing is one that's super painful to deal with in any game whatsoever. And Marvel has established that you're not going to ever have that problem with the battle pass. So, long story short, like, if you buy the battle pass, you keep it forever, and the only difference is that you just unlock points to acquire the stuff, and the points are acquired by just playing the game and doing challenges. And like, yeah, there's like a low amount of daily points that you can acquire, but the thing is, like, there's a lot of points you can acquire by just playing the game. Like if you play one character, maybe not so much, but if you play like six characters, you have six different opportunities to get as much points as possible. And again, the battle pass is always going to be there if you bought it. Now if you didn't buy it, you miss out on it. But the thing is, like, I've purchased battle passes for Overwatch, and if I didn't spend every waking second maximizing the pass, which I didn't do because I had other games in mind, because again, casual, or if I wanted the pass really badly because it had a skin that I wanted for a character that I loved, I had to either keep playing until I got it, or like throw my wallet at it, right? with the uh with the battle pass for Marvel, like you buy the pass once, you spend $10, you own the pass forever, and you can work on it whenever you want to. So I'm looking forward to seeing, like, 20 seasons later, I just have 20 passes that I can just work on, because, like, you know, because I bought it and I was like, cool, I'll work on it later, right? I'll never miss out on that opportunity, which again, like, I'm overly grateful for, because like I said, I think that Marvel is paying exceptionally high attention to the casuals versus the competitors. Now, of course, there is competition, but like, you don't have to competitively play this game to be able to like luck out or benefit a lot from it. You can just play the game by just playing the game. It's actually super nice. Um, Now, if realistically, if they added loot boxes in Marvel, I'm down. Even if they're just like, hey, here's like a random box that you can win for playing the game as Mr. Fantastic. Hey, just here you go. Whatever you get, good luck. And then I can get like a regular like lame skin. I can get points. I can get like a rare skin, I can get like a legendary one. There could be like a, and again, like it's gonna be so cool actually, because at least I can have that opportunity to like showcase, like, yeah, man, I was here when I played season one, or I bought the pass at season one, and I own the pass, like, boom. I don't think that they'll ever make that change where it's, they make it like a greedy money hungry thing, because that's the problem, right? Is like it feels like that way with Overwatch. It feels like they went the money hungry route, which I get, like it's a business, but so is the company making Marvel, and they've clearly showcased, at least so far, that the money will just come because you care about the game that much. Again, I felt that with Overwatch. There were things that I bought because I was like, man, I'm not playing this game until I don't get the skin or whatever. I told myself that, right? Um, and again, I missed out on battle passes. The mythic skin thing was really cool, but as far as I was aware, there were just certain skins that I no longer can acquire ever because the currency acquisition system is not good at all. Um, or it was like limited time and there's just no way to get it, right? Like I just don't expect that issue to really ever manifest in Rivals. So like there's already so many advantages that they can work on to ensure, and like we'll be eating forever. So I don't know. It's really a lot to take into account, but again, I'm heavily under the impression that Marvel is just ensuring fun. And it sucks because if Overwatch tries to go back to their roots of what they were doing with Overwatch 1 into 2, which they've already started doing, people are going to just be like, "Oh, like you're doing this because Marvel Rivals did it." So like way to copy the formula, even though they set the formula first, which again that feeling sucks. Like Overwatch was 66, went to 5v5, Marvel Rivals is 66. Now they're going to go back and do 66 in Overwatch, but like with a little bit of a caveat, which again is dumb. Then they're going to be like, "Hey, we had a role queue thing. The role queue thing sucks. We understand. So we're gonna just take it out. Now you can play whatever you want. Like deal with it, right?" Then they're gonna start, being like, "Hey, you bought the battle pass like 6 years ago. Here you go. Here's a permanent battle pass." And again, they're gonna keep on copying this formula that they have with Marvel. And I'm telling you, it's just gonna feel so bad. Um, and I don't want them to do that. I don't want Overwatch to establish an identity as being like the hero shooter, and then they change their formula, and then another game comes around and just technically took their formula but just made it better, and now they're going back to their formula, but now it doesn't feel like they're trying to, what I mean, like go back to what it originally was like, because they fumbled already so heavily enough that it is. So in the competitive aspect of this game in its entirety, if you care about being competitive in Marvel, then you care and you only focus on that. If you don't, then you don't. And Overwatch is like, if you're competitive, great, welcome to the game. And if you're not competitive, go play a different game. And that's just how I feel. Now, I'm sure there's some heavy competitive people that are like, or heavy Overwatch diehards that are like, you have no idea what you're talking about. But but the truth is that like you're right, I don't, because I don't play the game every single day. I can easily make that comparison to a game that I do play every single day and actually showcase you that difference, but the game genre is entirely different by comparison. So it's hard to like, so like I understand what it means and what it feels like, but I don't understand because it's not the game that I'm actively playing on a 24/7 basis, right? But I'm telling you that as somebody who plays a game 24/7, and I love the game that I play so much that like I made it my mission to like be the expert in terms of like the subject. I want to feel that I don't need to worry about that in a game that I don't play every single day. I can just come in and play and have fun, and I don't judge anybody for how they play. Because even in the game that I've experted, I don't apply that pressure on anybody, because I understand that you're going to encounter players that don't know what they're doing and they're only there to play the game or do the story. Um, and Overwatch doesn't give you that capability, but this game has the potential to do that, and I'm just looking forward to it dramatically. I think that this game is going to become like a real wake up call for the Overwatch folks to be like, hey, we got to really reconfigure everything. So like, let's make an Overwatch 3 and then just go back to what it was, or let's just like just fix everything, that, or hire the people to sit down with and have them explain to us what they need to figure out. Because I think that like professional players want the competition thing to be there, but they also want the player base to be appealing to everybody, right? Like I don't want games to fall. Everybody wants games to thrive, but you need to create the game in a way that can appeal and thrive to everyone. And I'm sure like professional players that are currently playing Marvel and Overwatch feel that way. It just doesn't feel that way to them probably, you know. And again, like that feeling doesn't, it's not going to resonate well. So anyways, that's my rant. Honestly, I didn't even cover everything that I can mentally cover right now because it's just so much. Honestly, you know, like the hero things, like whatever, like like characters are characters, and again, like it is what it is. You know, if Overwatch makes like a new system and calls it like a thing, but it's just a team up, that's gonna be really feels bad, man. You know, if they start taking powers from other characters that just are like a different reskin kind of thing, that's gonna feel bad, right? Like you have so many different possibilities of them making really weird mistakes. And like here's the thing too, like Marvel, same thing, right? Like Marvel can start collaborating with other games that aren't even part of like the Marvel universe, you know? Like what if Marvel teams up with like Fortnite and we get like the Fortnite guy, but in like a Captain America skin? Or like if we, you know what I mean, get like Resident Evil and it's Punisher. You know, like you can collaborate, you can get ideas from this game as well and have it gravitate into Overwatch. And same thing, where like it's not gonna feel good. Or maybe Marvel has like a change of heart and they're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna do role queue because like competitively everyone's complaining about too much and they want what they want. So we're gonna just appeal to them and then guess what? You're gonna repeat the same mistakes that Overwatch made. But again, I don't actually expect that, but I don't know. So I'm gonna play Marvel Rivals tonight, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun because literally I can just have fun. And you know, will I go and play Overwatch? I when I look at the patch notes, because again, I look at patch notes for both games. When I follow what the notes are saying in Overwatch, they need to literally in the notes or like a dev note tell me what they're going to do before I even think about playing Overwatch. And as far as I'm aware, nothing has changed. The game is still the same, even if after what it was like 2 years ago. You know, I don't. There's no interest right now in playing Overwatch because I need to be competitively a monster in order to like play it and enjoy it. And in this game, I don't have that problem. I can play whatever character I want. No one cares. I can be really good or really bad. I'm having fun regardless, because no one cares. And if people don't care in Overwatch, it will make the experience like a little better, but it's not going to make the experience that much better because the damage is already done. You know, Marvel has the opportunity to have the same problem, but right now it's going through such an incredible phase right now, even though again it's still super, super, super early. Um, like it's hard to actually really think about what they can do to like mess up, right? Because again, I think that they're taking notes from what happened with Overwatch and they know what to do and what not to do. And so again, I'm just looking forward to them actually executing what they have in line. So we'll see. But like I said, man, both games are great. There's just one is just significantly better than the other right now, and it's okay for that to be the case scenario. Both can live together in the world of gaming, but one needs to do a lot of cleaning up and a lot of changes and do a lot in order to kind of sit next to the one that's currently at the top. So I hope that they do because again, like I like Overwatch. I think Overwatch is great. I just don't like that it's overly competitive in a game mode situation that doesn't require it. If you literally take away the ability for super high end ranked players to play in like a generic casual quick play mode, I'd be down because like I'm not good. I'm okay, but I want to play the game just to press buttons and feel good about it. I don't want to feel oppressed the whole time because somebody knows how to professionally like tactically figure out how to like maneuver a map. I don't know the maps in Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, and I played that game competitively, you know. I don't want the knowledge factor to come into place for that because I think realistically it would just be nice to play the video game. But I don't want to have to learn how to be competitively nice at the game. I just want to play the game. And Marvel offers that and Overwatch doesn't. So like like I said, I would love to see them make a change and fix what they have done. But again, the damage was done, so it's kind of hard to come back to Overwatch and be like, oh my god, like yeah. And again, like I'm not that good. I'm a again casual player. I play I play Marvel Rivals like maybe I don't know like 10 hours a week, and like I go on a break for like 3 months. I mean, I think realistically that's the idea, right? Because that's what I did Overwatch. Like I played Overwatch for like 10 hours a week, and then I didn't play the game for like 2 weeks, and then I'm not practicing. There's no training mode. It's like, oh, cool, like new notes, new character, cool. Let me go check it out, and then I go play. I'm like, okay, cool, I had fun. Now it's like, oh, did they nerf a character? Okay, well that doesn't matter anymore. I don't care. Right, boom, done. So, like I said, they gotta figure it out. So I hope they do. I like Overwatch is great. The game is great, and there's no reason for us to sit here and pretend like we don't like Overwatch. We like Overwatch. It's just it's not as cool as it used to be, and hopefully they figure it out. So, anyways, that's my rant. I can go about this for hours, but I don't want to because I'm enjoying the crap out of some Marvel. And there you go.